Hey guys, Jen Banks here with Banks Canine Solutions, and I'm doing a video series on how to use long lines. So if you don't know what a long line is and you don't know why you should use a long line, then this is the video that you want to start with. So a long line is basically a really long leash. Usually you can get them anywhere from 10 to 50 feet. You can probably get a 100-foot one as well. I prefer to use a long line that's no more than 20 feet. So usually 15 to 20 feet of line is just enough for me to handle. And I use long lines to facilitate the off-leash training process. So I'll use a long line with a puppy, especially if I'm not in a fenced-in yard. But honestly, even if I'm in a fenced-in yard, I'm going to have some sort of line on a dog that I don't know that well. I also use long lines while I'm teaching the dog to come when called. So if you are looking for your dog to be able to be off leash, or you want your dog to learn not to run away from you when you're outside, any sort of control out in your yard or out while you're hiking, etc. If you want that control when the dog is off leash, it needs to start on leash. So we use a long line so that we can get the dog further away from us instead of your 6-foot leash where you can't really get them that far. And we use something that is as light as possible so the dog kind of has this sense of freedom with us still having that security of having the line there and being able to grab it. So this is certainly a training tool. This is how I trained my first dog to come when called. He dragged a long line through the woods for a long time before I started letting him off leash. Now I actually do e-collar training as well, so I'll have my new dog drag her line through the woods and whatnot for a long time, but I'll also teach her with a remote collar how to come when called. So the long line just gives you the ability to make the dog come to you at a distance if they decide they don't want to. So if they're 20 feet away from you and you call them and they don't listen, you have that line there to make it happen. And worst case, if your dog does run away from you with the long line on, hopefully they'll get tangled somewhere soon and you can go grab them and untangle them. So it's just a safety measure when you're trying to get your dog to listen without so much restraint on them. So in this video, I just want to talk a little bit about choosing a long line, as well as a little bit of some dangers to keep in mind when you're using a long line, because if you don't handle them properly, you can really hurt yourself. And I'm going to do a few more videos showing you how to use the long line. So this is just helping you select your equipment. So I have a few long lines here. This is a Biothane long line. It's nice hot pink. This is Moon Pies and it's nice and dirty. I do really like these. They're really nice on your hand. The only problem with this is in the rain. It's super slippery and it's really hard to keep a hold of. So if you're using something like this, I don't recommend using it in the rain. But other than that, what I really like about it is you can wipe it off pretty easily. The long line, as you'll see in a second, they get really dirty really quickly because they are dragging around all the time, dragging around in the mud and the dirt and all that. So this is a cotton long line, and again, I like this. It's thin and it's really light, so that's what you want in a long line, is you want the dog to feel as off-leash as possible without actually being off-leash. This I've used once. I used it once today, and I don't know if you can see in the video, but it's already pretty dirty after just one use. I made this one, but you can certainly buy them on Amazon. I can send you a link if you're looking for a recommendation, but these are nice as well. I will usually end up cutting the handle off of it. So where's the handle here? So as it's dragging, the handle tends to get caught on things. So before I take this in the woods, I'm actually going to snip it right here so that I don't have to worry about it getting tangled on roots and whatnot. And the final long line is another one I made. This is paracord. This does not have a handle. This hasn't been used either. I do really, really like this because it's super light. If anyone's done any e-collar training with me, I use a line like this on the dog to help them respond to the e-collar. So really light, no handle. The problem is it can be really hard on your hand, so especially if you're holding it and your dog takes off, you can get some pretty bad rope burns. So you want to be careful with something like this. So some things to avoid when you're using a long line, what you really want to be careful of is that you're not getting wrapped up in it and your dog's legs aren't getting wrapped up in it, because you can really hurt yourself or hurt your dog. So in the next video, I'm going to show you how to use the long line both with a puppy as well as with an adult dog who you're training to come when called. All right, so stay tuned for that.